All right, so we know these two triangles, these are isosceles triangles because the two legs, right, the two legs are the same distance, but the base is not. Okay, same thing for this one. The two legs are the same, the base is not. All right, we know these are congruent. We just labeled them. All right, but now maybe we'll label them, maybe we'll label their angles now. Okay, now because these two lines were the same, okay, and these two lines are the same, maybe I think there's going to be something special about their angles also. Okay, because remember, look over here, we had 3 different angles, right? 3 different angles, 3 different sides. Here we have 2 of the sides are the same, so that means 2 of the angles are going to be the same. So how you can do that is like this. You can put an arc here for the one between between this tick and the double tick mark here, and then another single arc here. All right, and you can do the same thing with this one. You can put the single arc here and the single arc here. So now we're going to be left with this angle is going to be congruent to this angle. So what we can do is put a double. All right, so now what you can do is maybe we'll label it and then we'll write some facts about it. Okay, so maybe we'll say this is JKL, and this is STR. All right, so maybe we'll look at the easy one real quick. We know that double angle, the double arc is this double arc. So maybe we can say angle L is congruent to angle R. All right, and since these actually have these both are single arcs, so we know they're equal, and these both are single arcs, okay, we know these are also congruent or equal, then we can say angle J is congruent to angle K, which is also congruent to angle S, which is also congruent to angle T. And then we can combine any 4 of these, right? So we could say angle K is congruent to angle T. You could say angle J is congruent to angle S. All right, you could combine them because they're all congruent to one another. So since this one's congruent to this one, which is congruent to this one, which is congruent to this one, and then they're all going to be congruent. All right, so that's pretty much going to be it for this isosceles triangle. All right, so now let's look at this example. All right, so in this example, we can see that if you look a little closely, you can already see that like a right angle here, right? Okay, normally you're given that. Okay, normally you're given the fact that it's a right triangle. Remember, when there's a right angle in a triangle, we call it a right triangle. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this one. Let's say we want to call this arc here. Actually, let's start with the length of the sides like we did before. Okay, so let's say we want to say this length and this length are equal. So we want to write this length and this length are equal, so we can put a single. All right. Now let's say we want to say this side and this side are congruent, but they're not equal to. It's not congruent to this side, so we need to have. It needs to have its own double tick mark. All right, and we're left with the last one. But let's say this side is congruent to this side, but this side is not the same as this side or this side, so that means it needs its own also. So it needs its triple. All right, and then similarly, we can label this one. So let's say we wanted to call this M for this right angle, N and O. And let's say we wanted to call this this one over here. Let's say we wanted to call the right angle, let's say W. And then we can call the point on the across from the single tick mark, let's say we'll call that Y, WY, and then we'll call this top part Z. All right, so what can we say off the bat? So we already see that we have right angle equal to right angle. All right, we have 2 of the right angles. We know they're congruent, so we can say angle M is congruent to angle W, since they're both right angles. They're both 90 degrees. So we say they're congruent. All right. And let's say we wanted to label the rest of the angles. So let's say we wanted to show that this one is congruent, N is congruent to Y, then we would put maybe just a single arc. Okay, since that one's a square, we can just put an arc like that. So now we can say angle N is congruent to angle Y. And then lastly, we could give this angle O here. So since this angle is congruent to this angle, we can give them the double arcs. All right, and then we'll say angle O is congruent to angle Z. All right, and what else could we say? We could say some stuff about the triangles being congruent, right? We could say triangle. Let's start with a double. So let's start with O. Let's say triangle O, and then we'll go down to the right angle. M, N is congruent to triangle. All right, so we started with the double arc, so we need to start with the double arc here. Z, we went to the right angle, so we need to go to the right angle here. W, and then Y. All right, and you can mix it up, but you want to be consistent. All right, so if you're going, counterclockwise on this one, right? If you're starting from N and going to O, then you need to start from Y and go to Z. So for example, you could say triangle N to O to M is going to be congruent to triangle. So we started with a single arc, so the single arc here is Y. Then we went to O, which was the double arc, so the double arc here is Z. And then we went to M, which is the right angle. In this case, the right angle is W, so. All right. And you can do the same thing with this other triangle. Okay, so you could also say this triangle. You could say, let's say you wanted to start at point L. All right, so you could say point L going to J, and then we're going to K, is congruent to, we could say LJK, so we're starting with double angles, so we need to start with the double angle here, is congruent to triangle R, and then we went, if you look at it, we went down left. Okay, so if you turn your head, it's like upside down, you need to go down left here to T, and then to S. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it. We're just labeling, okay, and then we're saying some facts about the angles being congruent and the triangles being congruent. All right, like in this case. Okay, that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching.